Hey guys, Joshua Nile here, and today, for the glory of Ra, we're looking at Sarcophagus by Nile. Remember, if you enjoy the lesson, please click like and let me know. You can also leave me a comment or a request for a lesson that you want to learn. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future updates, and as always, be sure to grab that riff by riff note and tab transcription downstairs so you can follow along at home. Alright, let's get to it. Okay, before we get started, we'll need to tune our bass. Nile typically plays in what's called drop A. So we're going to get our bass down to drop A. If you're using a 5-string like me, and I chose to use a 5-string because that's what I've seen most of the bass players in Nile using, it's very simple. It's very much like tuning down to drop D on a 4-string. All you're going to do is take your low B string and drop it one whole step down to an A. So it's going to be an octave below your A string. And the rest of the strings are going to stay the same. You'll have an E, an A, a D, and a G. Now if you're using a 4-string, that's perfectly fine. It's going to require a little bit more downtuning, and you might need to raise up your action or switch to heavier gauge strings in order to keep the strings from being super floppy. But if you're going to do that, you would take your E string, which in this case would be your lowest string, and take that all the way down to the low A. The A would come down to an E, the D would come down to an A, and the G would come down to a D. So on a 4-string, you would have A, E, A, and D. But if you're using a 5-string like me, you'll have low B just comes down to an A. Everything else stays exactly the same. Also, I am choosing to go fingerstyle on this song because, that's what I've seen most of the bass players in Nile doing. Although on this particular record, the bass was recorded by either Carl or Dallas, the two guitar players in Nile. So there's a very good chance that when they did the recording, they used a pick, being primarily guitar players. But again, I'm going fingerstyle on a 5-string. If you choose to go pick style on either a 4 or a 5, perfectly fine, no problems there. So let's get into the riffs. Looking at number 1, this is going to be the intro riff, and it's going to start out this nice Spanish Phrygian line here. So that's going to start on the 4th fret of the E string. And I'm going to call all of the strings based on the 5-string as if we were in standard tuning. So I am going to refer to this low A as a B string just to keep it simple. If you're on a 4-string, you're going to be thinking, you'll be thinking B, E, A, D. So you'll be thinking the bottom 4 strings of a 5-string. So it might be a little confusing, but don't worry, you'll get it. So we're starting on the 4th fret of the E string, and we're going to have a little 16th note triplet hammer on and pull off from the 4th fret to the 5th fret and back. Just like that. And then we're going to hop right down to the 8th fret on the B string. So we've got triplet and. From there, we've got 7th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, 8th fret, and back to 7th fret before we finish up on a low B, a low open string. So in time, nice and slow, it's triplet and 2 and 3 and 4. And then when you go down to the low open string, you're going to hold that for a full 2 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Going to hit it again in the next bar for another whole note, another 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we actually change time signatures for a second. This is the only time it's going to happen in the song. We go into 5/4, so we're just going to have an extra beat in the bar. But the beat unit doesn't change, the time doesn't change, we're just adding an extra beat. You could also think of it as 2 bars of 4 and a bar of 2, because we have 10 total beats. Anyway, We're going to jump over to the 5th fret on the E string, and we'll have another one of those triplet hammer-on and pull-offs, 5 to 6 this time, and from there we're going to hop down to the 3rd fret on the E string. And from there we've got 8th fret on the B string to the 7th fret, 5th fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, 4th fret, 8th fret, 7th fret, and then we're going to land on the 6th fret in the next bar. So let's break down that first 5/4 bar in time. It would be triplet and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and into 1, or 5 6 5 3 8 on the B, 7 5 4 5 4 8 7 6, and this is the next bar, 5/4. Right on beat 1, we're going to hold this 6th fret for 4.5 beats. So it's going to be 1 2 3 4 5, and then on the and of 5, the last half, we're going to grab this 6th fret of the E string, and this is actually the beginning of the next riff, riff number 2. So those 5/4s all together before we get into the next riff are triplet and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1 2 3 4 5 and that and right there takes us into riff number 2, the main riff of the song. So that is going to start again on the 6th fret on that and of 5, or more accurately, it'll be the and of 4 with all the other bars we're going to come across. So I'm going to call it the and of 4, even though it was the and of 5. We've got and on the 6th fret of the E to the 3rd fret, 5th fret, and then we're going to have a little hammer-on pull-off here from 5 to 6 to 5. So we've got and 1 and 2 E and. From here we go to the 1st fret of the B string, of the low string. 1st fret to open. Then we'll have 4th fret to 3rd fret, and then 3rd fret to 1st fret. So far we've got 6 3 5 5 6 5 1 0 4 3 3 1, or and 1 and 2 E and 3 and 1 and 3 and. Then we're going to do that same main riff again, and 1 and 2 E and. 1st fret to open, just like we did before, but this time for this first ending here, the first ending of the riff, we're going to grab the 1st fret of the low string on the and of 4, then go right up to the 4th fret. We're going to hold that for 2 beats. Then we're going to go down to the 3rd fret of the low string for 1.5 beats, and that's so we can grab the 6th fret of the E string on the and of 4 again and start the riff over. So that second line of riff number 2, the measure before the first ending, or the pickup to the measure before the first ending, would be and 1 and 2 E and 3 and 1 2 3 4 and, starting it over. The rest of the riff is going to be the same until we get to the second ending. And the only difference between the first and the second ending is that we do not go to this 6th fret on the E string to start the riff over. We're going to hold the 4th fret of the low string for 2 beats, and then we're going to hold the 3rd fret of the low string also for 2 beats. So that measure before the first ending right into the second ending, or the pickup into it, would be and 1 and 2 E and 3 and 1 that goes right into riff number 3, which is going to be the verse riff, or the first verse riff. We'll talk about the second verse riff after this, because it's only different by one note, but we'll get there. If you're looking at this, it probably looks like a complete mishmash of endings, and this is purely to make it a little bit simpler, I think, to memorize, thinking of it as a collection of parts rather than a just progression of measures one after the other. So the riff is always going to start on the low open string for a whole note, for 4 beats, 4 counts. The first, third, and fifth time, so every odd numbered time that you go through this riff, the ending is going to be the same, and that's going to start on the 4th fret of the low string to the 3rd fret of the low string. Then we'll have 3 to 1, and then we have this 16th note triplet here, this hammer-on to pull off, and that's going to be 1st fret to 3rd fret and right off it. And that would go back to the top of the riff for the open string. So the 1st, 3rd, and 5th time, including the starting measure in time, is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3 and triple it back into the top of the riff. The second ending, which is also going to include part of the 4th ending, we'll get to that in a second, looks like... So we've gone from doing this half whole or dominant diminished scale, we're jumping back to the Spanish Phrygian mode, which is, this song typically bounces between either that half whole dominant diminished or the Spanish Phrygian mode. Both of those have that what we Westerners think of as that Egyptian or Middle Eastern kind of sound. So Nile makes use of both of these scales and a couple others as well, but a lot of these scales in their songs. So that second ending, breaking it down, is going to start on the open low string. We're going to go to the 1st fret for 2 hits. Then we're going to go up to the 5th fret for 2 hits. Down to the 4th fret for 2. Back to the 1st fret to finish it up. And then we would be back at the top of the riff with the open. So in time, that's going to be 0, 1, 1, 5, 5, 4, 4, 1. Back to the top. Or, counting it off, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we're always changing notes on the and of the beat, on the offbeat, rather than right on the downbeat. The 3rd time, you would do that 1st, 3rd, and 5th ending again. No change in there. Getting to the 4th ending, which is going to start the same way as the second ending. 0, 1, 1, 5, 5, 4, 4, 1. Except from here, instead of going back to the top, we're going to jump up to the 7th fret on the A string, or the D string if you're playing this on a 4-string. 7th fret of the A string, we're going to have one of those triplet hammer-on and pull-offs from 7 to 8 to 7. Down to 5, then 4 to 5. Then we have a 4th fret sliding up to the 8th fret, and then we're going to catch the 8th fret one more time to finish that up. So that last measure of the 4th ending in time would be triple it and 2 and 3 and 4. So the whole 4th ending together would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and triple it and 2 and 3 and 4. Back to the top. 5th time through, we would go through the 1st, 3rd, and 5th ending. Again, no change. And then the 6th ending looks a lot like the 2nd ending. We just changed the last note, which is going to get us back into the main riff, riff number 2. So that's again going to start on the open low string to 2 hits on the 1st fret, 2 hits on 5, 2 hits on 4. And then instead of going back to 1, we're going to go to that 6th fret on the E, and that'll get us back into that guy. So riff number 3 all together. I'm going to play all the endings in order, just so we can all get it down nice and slow. I'm going to count everything and call it out so you know exactly where we are. Here we go. From the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. First ending, 1 and 3 and triple it. Top, 2, 3, 4. Second ending, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and top, 2, 3, 4. Third ending, 1 and 3 and triple it. Top, 2, 3, 4. Fourth ending, 5, 5, 4, 4, 1. Triple it and 2 and 3 and 4. Top, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth ending, 1 and 3 and triple it. Top, 2, 3, 4. Sixth ending, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and right back into number 2. And that's it for the verse riff. If you look on the next page, you'll see a 3A. And now this, the only reason I wrote this one out again was to make sure that there was no confusion. This is the second riff before we go, or the second verse rather, before we go into the bridge. The only difference between these two verses is the very last note of the 6th ending. Instead of going back up to the 6th fret to get us back into riff number 2, we're actually going to stay on the 4th fret of the low string, and that's to get us into riff number 4. So riff number 3A, the 6th ending, would be open 1, 1, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4. So the very last 4 there, instead of a 6 or a 1, we're going to stay on that 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that takes us into riff number 4, which is going to start on the 5th fret. So we do that half step motion, that 1 fret motion into the next riff. We're going to hit the 5th fret of the low string and hold that for a whole bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to hit the 5th fret in the next bar to the 4th fret, and then down to the 1st fret for the rest of the bar. And in time, that second bar of riff number 4 is 1 and 3, 4, 5, 4, 1, 1, 1. So altogether, riff number 4 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4. We're going to do that one twice, and then we're into riff number 5, and this is where the bass really joins the guitar. This is the fun one to play. That's going to start up on the 8th fret of the E string, and we're going to have an 8th fret hammering on to the 10th fret. And then we're going to hit the 10th fret again. From here, we're down to the 6th fret, and we're going to do a hammer-on pull-off real quick from the 6th fret to the 9th fret and back, and then finish up on the 5th fret. Just like that. 1 and 2, triple at 3. And that can even be a slide from the 6th fret into the 5th fret. And to finish up that measure, we just grab the low string of, or the open low string rather. And then from there, we've got 3rd fret on the E string to the open string, 3rd fret to the open low string, 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 5th. So far we've got 8, 10, 10, 6, 9, 6, 5, open, 3, open, 3, 5, 6, 5, The next time through it, we're going to do the same little moving minor pentatonic Spanish Phrygian half and half kind of riff to start it off. 8, 10, 10, 6, 9, 6, 5. Down to the open. So that measure's the same. The next measure is where it changes. We're going to again start on the 3rd fret. 3, open, 3. And then from here, we're going to go down to the 4th fret of the low string. We'll have 2 hits on that. Then we're down to the 3rd fret for 2 hits. And then we're going to wrap it up on the 1st fret of the low string. So altogether, that riff is 3, 3, 3, 5, 6, 5, 8, 10, 10, 6, 9, 6, 5. Open 3, open 3, 4, 4, 3, 3, 1. And that riff goes directly into riff number 6, which is going to start on the 3rd fret of the E string. We're going to hold that for a full 4 counts, a full bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we've got these little syncopated hits, again with the guitars. So it's a dotted eighth to a 16th tied to an eighth, which is the same length of time as a dotted eighth, and then an eighth note. So it's going to be 1, and 1, and. Or if you're more comfortable thinking of it in terms of the number of 16th notes that each of those hits takes up, it would be 3 on the 3rd fret, 3 on the 5th fret, and 2 on the 6th fret. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, or 1, and 1, and whichever way works for you. In any case, when we finish on that 6th fret there, we're going to go down to the open low string. I'm going to hold that for 3.5 beats. That's the double dot in the notation and the tablature. A double dotted half note takes up 3.5 beats. It's a little cleaner than dotted half note tied into an eighth note, I think. So we're going to hold that for 3.5 beats and then catch the open low string again on the end of 4. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Going into the next measure, we've got this repeating pattern of 2 hits on the 5th fret of the E string, 2 hits on the open low string. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or 5, 5, open, open, 5, 5, open, open. From there, we're going to jump to the 8th fret of the low string. We're going to hold that for about 3 beats or so, and then we're just going to slide down into nothingness. Again, the guitars do this as well, so it's pretty easy to hear on the recording. 1, 2, 3, 4, into nothingness there. And then real quick back up to the 7th fret of the low string. We're going to have more of this syncopation that we did a couple bars ago. So that's the 7th fret for a dotted eighth note, the 8th fret for the equivalent of a dotted eighth note again, the 7th fret for, again, dotted eighth note or its equivalent. Then we're going to hold the 8th fret for only an eighth note, then the 7th fret for a dotted eighth note, and then we're going to wrap it up on the 5th fret for an eighth note. Now, what the heck am I talking about? Again, we can break this into its component 16th notes, which is typically what I do in my head when I have to read these things, because I think it makes it a little bit easier, or it's easier to keep it straight. It's called subdividing, when you keep track of the smallest rhythmic unit, regardless of what you're doing. So in this case, the smallest rhythmic unit we'd be dealing with is a 16th note. So that first hit on the 7th fret is going to last for 3 16th notes. The hit on the 8th fret is also going to last for 3 16th notes. The next hit on the 7th, also 3 16th notes. The next 8th fret is only 2 16th notes. The next 7th fret is again 3 16th notes. And then finally, the 5th fret is 2 16th notes worth. So it would be 3, 3, 3, 2, 3, 2. Putting that into practice or putting that into time would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So again, counting out the 16th notes a little faster. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then we're going to catch that low open string. We're going to hold that for 8 counts, 2 full bars. So here we are. This is the last riff that we're going to have to deal with in the song. These next 3 riffs are essentially the same. They're all based on each other. So we're going to look at them as a collection. The first one, number 7, the time actually goes down even slower. It goes down into, it'd be about 60, 68. Instead of 95, we go down to about 68, but so we don't have to read 30-second notes at the end. I'm notating it in double time, so we've actually gotten faster. We're at about 116 instead of 95. But that first riff, number 7, is going to start with an open low string, and we're going to hold that for 3 full bars, or 12 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we've got a hit on the open low string to the first fret, and then a hit, 2 more hits on the first fret. That last measure in time is 1 and 3 and. So altogether we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3 and. And that's going to repeat, all of these except for the last one are going to repeat 4 times. So after you've played that first riff, number 7, 4 times, you're going to go into number 7A. And what we're going to do here to start with is start cranking out 8th notes on the low string rather than letting it sustain. We're again going to have 3 bars unchanged. So it's going to be 3 bars of 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then in the 4th bar we're going to do open 8th notes through the 3rd beat, and then on the and of 3 we're going to switch to the 1st fret of the low string, kind of like we did in the previous bar. So that last bar of number 7A would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That one's also going to repeat 4 times. And then we get into the tough one, which is number 7B. And here we double up from the 8th note. So we're actually going to 16th notes on the low string. If you watch the cover version of this that I post, you'll notice that rather than alternating all the way through it, because this one does repeat more than 4 times, it goes at least 8 or 9 times. It actually just keeps going as the song fades out. I find that this constant repeating on the low string with my fingers, I tend to get physically exhausted and I start to lose the time. So what I do for this part is I switch to the Cliff Burton pick fingers for this one. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up my 2nd and 1st fingers so that I have a nice even surface here. And for the downbeats, I'm going to pick towards myself like that. And then for the upbeats, I'm going to flick outwards with my nail, almost like an actual pick, and I'm going to catch the string as well, so that rather than having to go, which is possible for like the first 3 or 4 times, but after that your arm starts to burn and cramp up and you slow down, and it's really hard to hang on to it for most people, I would think. So with this pick fingers thing that we're doing, it would end up being. And you want to make sure that you catch the string with the tips of your fingers rather than the typical getting under it and pulling through, or getting on the side of it and pulling through. that we tend to do as fingerstyle bass players, because if you do that, you're going to get one sound this way, and then you're going to get a completely different sound when you flick out. So you want to try to use the tip of your finger, or try to use the tips of your nails rather, so that each pick stroke is the same in tone quality and the same in volume. So using that, we're again in 7B going to have 3 bars of constant low string. In this case, it's going to be 3 bars of straight 16th notes. So that would be 1 E and a 2 E and a 4 E and a 2 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 3 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and then the very final bar, we're going to have 2 beats, kind of like the end of 7A. We're going to have 2 beats of 16th notes on the low string, and then in beat 3, we're going to hit the first 16th note in that beat as an open string, and then the rest of that beat, as well as all of beat 4, are going to be on the first fret of the low string. So that last bar of the transcription, that last bar of number 7B is going to be 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and like that. So riff number 7B all the way through with the change to the first fret there would be, and a little faster as well. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 2 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 3 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, just like that. And that's it. There it is, guys. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. If you did, be sure to click like and let me know. You can also leave me a comment or a request for a song you would like to learn. Be sure to click subscribe so that you don't miss any future updates. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to grab that full riff by riff note and tab transcription so you can practice this at home. And until next time,